Hey there, PotatoCast fans. This is Internet Potato, bringing you the fifth and final for me round of the StimHack Online Cash Refresh tournament. I will not be making the cut, so this is the last game that I have to share with you. So this has been a really fun tournament. Big thanks to Fighting Walloon, John Meunier, for kicking it off again. Always a good time, great community, lots of fun games, fun people, good side chatter, and just really interesting format. The One of the main appeals of these events is the teching and preparation that goes into it, and this game was no exception. So today I'm playing against Junior Varsity, and starting it off, I'm going to be running with Kit against his PE deck. So I kept this hand because it's got professional contacts in it, and basically, the key cards I'm going to be looking for are going to be indexing, Inversificator, and feedback filter. So for this matchup, since I knew he was on P, I've got two feedback filters in the deck, and other than that, I just kind of want to get some cards and make stuff happen. So this opening looks pretty good to me. Professional contacts is, kind of the key to keeping up the economy and tempo with this deck, which is just kind of a good stuff Inversificator kit deck. And against PE, I know that I'm probably going to want to be drawing a lot just to kind of keep my hand size up at a safe level. I don't know, starting this game, whether he's on a strictly kill plan or like 1,000 cut style or what the deal is. So I think that a punitive PE is pretty cool and is a decent possibility, especially with Avocado Protocol being in the mix. So we both take pretty standard first turns, just setting up a little bit. And looking at my hand, I feel pretty good. I mean, it looks like he's trying to rush something out here, but I should have enough to get a little bit of money, modded out the Inversificator, and just go for it. So it takes me a second to figure that out, but here it comes. So looking at this, I basically know, okay, it's not really ideal to dirty laundry archives, but I can't afford to hit HQ, especially since I know what's in it. But this play leaves me with 3 credits to get through server 1, which is a little bit slim, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be Kakugo based on what he showed me in his hand. So go ahead and break it and keep going. Losing the Mad Dash kind of stinks because I don't want to be I don't want to steal extra agendas if I can avoid it. So this was a little bit risky. I'm going down to 0 cards in hand, but I knew that he didn't have a Neural in hand and would have to top deck it or draw for it, so it was worth a shot. So basically just rebuilding this turn, getting cards in hand. I'm really glad that I was able to scoop that House of Knives because until I get a feedback filter out, it's just difficult when you don't have as much recursion. You're just kind of losing random parts of your rig from hand, and even when you do a feedback filter, it gets expensive. So, right now, basically, like, my game plan is to get indexing and Mad Dash in hand, and start building up to the point where I can pressure R&D, force him to spend some credits on there, and maintain the threat of attacking his remote. RNGQ is a new addition to this deck. I like it. I think it's neat. It's relatively. I normally have extra MU, so having one copy of it that I install and occasionally get benefits from seems interesting. And I put in Corporate Defector a couple of games ago for the CI matchup, so I could tell when HQ was worth running. And it's just been helpful knowing kind of what are my outs. It's not like the most high impact card in the world, but that plus RNG key feels interesting, worth trying at least. So right now I feel pretty confident that I can, poke R&D at will, with Corporate Defector on the board. And the fact that he's been playing Celebrity Gifts nonstop. I have a reasonable sense of what's in hand right now. I don't think there's any agendas in there. I do think that there's, a Breach Dome and a Biotic. And so, I've got a lot of information here to work with. Defector instantly showing me an agenda is nice. So since he has Biotic in hand, and I scroll up just to double check it, and a handful of ice mainly. And I'm assuming that he's just dumped a Breach Dome or two in the bin. I would like it if I had an HQ interface available, but failing that, it seems like it's worth at least poking HQ and seeing what you can get out of it. So. Yeah, I don't want to lose nanotech from hand, so this isn't exactly ideal. But I wanted to draw up, expecting to take some net damage and maybe hitting a snare. But then when I saw that I drawn the nanotech, I knew that I wanted to get on the board and not risk losing it, because Komainu is a thing. So, knew that he was going to be able to score this turn, but nothing critical in hand. So having a second Inversificator is nice if you're really rich, because then you can basically surf twice with it, but it's not necessary, and having the nanotech is more important for me right now. And even though he's on 15 credits, I feel pretty safe running R&D, suspecting that it's a Miraju that we've seen in hand a couple of times. But, since it is Komainu, we'll go ahead and deal with that and have a look. RNG key, I think, is cool against Jinteki right now. Because you can call 5, and if you access an Obokata protocol, then you can instantly draw up 2 cards before you hit it. So that's that and Hedge Fund, which I guess he's probably played a couple of. But knowing that he's got a couple of Komainus and probably a couple of Obokatas floating around, calling 5 is a pretty safe default for RNG key in this matchup. So I think that right now my priority is still going to be getting those impact run events. And in terms of installation priorities right now, this feedback filter is huge. And then the same old thing is nice insurance for, whatever might get sniped by net damage from hand when I'm not ready for it, or for reusing a mad dash if nothing else. So since I'm on 1 point, and he's probably on a mix of Brain Trust, Nisei, House of Knives, and Obokata, being able to mad dash twice potentially gets me to 7 points with only two more steals on 2 pointers. Or, I mean, even being able just to mad dash once and get an avocado would be good enough. So. So I picked two because I'd seen Mirage a couple of times, but wish I had stuck to my guns and paid five. Um, and that was a mistake. I should have paid the 3 credits to prevent the PE damage. Um, but I guess it's not strictly necessary since I know that if he does choose to play Neural, I can just prevent that damage instead. So that was sort of that was a mistake for sure. And if I'd hit a breach dome, that would have been the end of the game. So that was possible botch narrowly avoided. Yeah. That being said, being on 4 points with access to Mad Dash, with same old thing, seems pretty all right. I've got 22 credits on the board with the Armitage code busting, so I'm probably pretty well set for economy for the rest of the game. Since I know with Corporate Defector that he just drew a snare, I'm not really interested in hitting server 1 right now on the off chance that he is trying to, get me into there. And with 3 clicks, this feels pretty promising because I can get in for relatively cheaply against the Komainu. And if I see a 2-pointer, then I can go ahead and mad dash and finish the game off. So luckily I do. So I just go ahead and stack it all up. And here I think I was actually miscounting how many points that I had, because putting the breach dome after the brain trust makes it so that I'll be leaving an agenda on top. But at any rate, not really relevant. Brain trust is there. And then that's the game. So, it's a tough match. I think that without a decent amount of end of the run ice, even if you're taking random pings from Kakugo, this is a little bit tricky for PE to pull out, and getting the feedback filter out and the early professional contacts really makes it difficult to win that battle. So anyway, good game, good opponent, good deck, good fun, and we'll start up the next match momentarily. Okay, so this match, I'm not really sure what to expect out of his Gabe deck, so I didn't really make any changes to my AgInfusion deck. The only recent additions have been getting some NGO austerity policies in there. Sorry, NGOs into the deck, Since they're sort of like econ cards, I took out a couple of Maryland campaigns and shuffled around some ice and ended up getting enough influence for a third MCI austerity policy in there. So, game plan is basically the same as it's been forever with this deck, which is set up a situation where they're taxed on cards and credits and clicks to get into your scoring remote. Ideally, rush out a first agenda behind some end the run ice, and just kind of apply the screws with MCI austerity policy. So right now I'm looking for some end the run ice to rush behind. Find it in Enigma, and I want at least something over R&D to discourage him from running willy nilly. So enter the pup. And I expect him to have a number of inside jobs available. So it's possible this won't stick around, but being able to set up a threat that he has to deal with and maybe taking out an inside job, which is very helpful for dealing with data loop on the scoring remote, is worth giving a shot to right now. So one thing that I've been consistently pretty bad at with this ID is being careful about ice placement. And so while my first instinct was to put the data loop on server 1, I think that would have been a mistake because we really want there to be a couple of unresed ice behind it, and ideally a mix of Kakugo and ice that you can throw away so that you can drag them through it a couple of times. Putting the data loop as the second ice as opposed to the third ice on that remote makes that a lot harder to leverage and really grind the runner out on cards. So even though ideally I would have Enigma, Kakugo, data loop as that server, getting a second Enigma is okay because I'll probably end up trashing one of them with the AgInfusion ability and using the other as a gear check. So I decided there's enough good stuff in the bin that I want to genotype it. So basically I want that austerity policy back. I want the NGO because it lets me force him to run through the taxing remote multiple times. And then I decide to take the face-up hedge fund. I wanted to leave some mystery in archives so that he can potentially check it and hit some breach domes. And, now that I'm starting to build up agendas a little bit, I'm probably less keen on giving away information about my hand. So, this is a bit of a risky play. It's only the first point of the game, so I'm not too worried about it. But he definitely, could spearfish or inside job this remote. That being said, having a House of Knives scored early is really helpful for the game plan of limiting the runner's ability to have cards in hand to steal Obokata or deal with Ben Musashi. Additionally, in this format, it's just helpful to use the first one or two counters just to take random pot shots and see if you can knock out some of their pieces. And, so far, we've seen I think that Damara got hit early on, so he's not rich in breakers at the moment. So I go ahead and put the Obokata into server 1 immediately. Normally I prefer to install advance it for obvious reasons, but in this case, with the sneak door on the table and a full hand, I don't want him, ripping another 3 points immediately. So running into the two domes makes me want to also go ahead and trigger Hassle Knives, which I'm not sure if it's like ideal. Um, but my thinking is that if he's got like one good card in hand that he's trying to, hope will be okay, knowing that there's a single breach dome in archives, then it might be a reasonable time to go ahead and try to stack up as much damage as possible, and attempt to hit whatever he's holding on to. So taking out the indexing is nice, though same old thing, means that threat is still alive. I go a little bit low to get the Obokata scored, but it sort of has to get done at this point. And I should have enough to bounce back with a combination of Celebrity Gift and IPO over the next turn or so. Another thing that I've been doing wrong with this idea a lot is failing to set up painful face checks on the central ace. So basically, like if they do run your remote and use AgInfusion to bounce them, it's much more impactful if you're bouncing them into something that's rezzed and expensive or painful to deal with, as opposed to just bouncing them to archives so they can jack out. So make sure to hit him with the House of Knives on the way in, on the off chance that he hits another Obokata. I'm trying to decide here whether I want to hit him again and decide not to, because going from 3 to 2 doesn't really help me here. 3 or 2 cards in his hand. So here I'm basically trying to rebuild my econ with a Celebrity Gift, and my next priority is probably going to be to get a Komainu over R&D, and maybe one over HQ, but probably not, so that I have something to throw him at if he gets to the point where he's trying to hit my remote. So even though the pup would have been pretty taxing up until this point, I really can't let indexing land. If he had done that click 1, I would have been in a tougher situation, because he would have been able to same old thing. If he'd done like click 1 indexing, 2, 3 same old thing indexing, and then 4 run back, he would have had a pretty good chance at ripping an agenda or 2, or I guess 1 agenda, and setting up a second steal. So I think that line might have been a little bit suboptimal for Josh. At any rate, since I know that he's got a couple indexing and some same old thing, I go ahead and just double ace R&D to go ahead and nip that in the bud, and then probably rebuild on econ a little bit. I would hope. I'm not sure what I was trying to decide there. Yeah, and he knows those are Komainus because he's seen a lot of stuff out of my hand. Knows that it's a pretty tough position to be in. So like right now he really needs a killer to get some traction here, because like hitting HQ for 2 credits is not bad, but he doesn't need credits right now. He needs a killer, or inside jobs and other ways to avoid dealing with my eyes. So the spearfishing play here is totally reasonable, but with the data loop and Ben Musashi and Hasso Knives, he doesn't really have a way to run this back sufficient times to, and also draw up to get the job done. So the decision here is whether I bounce him to another server or whether I hit him with the Hasso Knives. And so by bouncing him here, if I had chosen to hit him with the Hasso Knives, then he could have gone ahead and trashed Ben Musashi and then just run back in again. So that would have been a major mistake. By bouncing him first, we set it up so that he would be, well, I guess he would still be able to run in. Actually, I guess he may have been able to steal agenda, actually, because if on click 3 he had run trash Ben Musashi, and then click 4 run back and gotten the steal, he would have been there. So yeah, situation's a little grim, and in fact, I think we had some discussion about whether I actually have a window here to use the Hasso Knives to kill. And I was looking at the timing chart, and it wasn't totally clear to me because I didn't see a paid ability window at the end after passing the ice, and before the runner decides to jack out. So I don't think that there's a window after the subroutines fire before the runner decides to continue. There's going to be a brief pause while I look into this. Yeah, so we'll look that up. I apparently was reading it faster last night than I was just now because I couldn't find it. Anyway, so this game is pretty much wrapped up. It's unfortunate that he wasn't able to get a killer set up. Okay, I see. Now 2.1 is the place where I could kill him. So I should actually have been able to get the kill here, because basically 2.1 is the paid ability window, and 2.2 is where the runner decides to approach or jack out. So I was actually kind of surprised by this because it seems like why am I not seeing Komainu into Hasso Knives kill like way more often? Yeah, it's there. Sanjay's got it. At any rate, so he basically just decides that the game's not really winnable for him, and decides to concede it, which is fair. I mean, I think that if he had run server 1 here, he would have like a pretty reasonable shot at this game, being 5 points to 4 points, and me with kind of a depleted remote server. So I understand why he thought the situation was unwinnable. But I think that if he had stuck with it, he might have been able to get a shot at it. If he managed to find a turtle or find a killer within the next few turns, he'd probably be all right. So I'll go ahead and finish it off there. So good games, well played, tough matches for sure, and a lot of fun. So big thanks to Fighting Walloon as always for organizing these events. Great fun, and if you're considering giving it a shot next time this comes around, I highly recommend it. And until then, see y'all later.